They can share messages or share resources between those devices. Okay. However, the communication link not necessary to be physical link， 它就是它不一定要有实体的连接。Okay. Fibers 光纤 ，covers 铜线，radio 就是无线射频 ，satellites they can be used as so it is not necessary to be a physical line between the devices. Wireless communication could be one of the options to do such kind of communication links. 就是无线的连接也是可以的。Okay, so when you choose different kind of communication links, the most important feature of communication link is the bandwidth, or we call it transmission rate. Due to the different material features, 就是有些物理性质不同 ，fibers it is a very thin classes. 就是fiber 就光纤它是一个非常细的玻璃丝嘛。So for example, it has certain physical features. They can carry a very large amount of information transmitted in that very thin glasses. 就光纤的特性就是它可以带大量的讯息嘛，对不对 ？However, wireless communication, their features could be interference. Interference 中文就是干扰嘛 ，because different devices they can broadcast different signals, and those signals might interfere with each other. 就那些无线的讯号有可能会干扰嘛，这是它们的物理特性。But the most important things of choosing a communication link is the bandwidth you want to use. Okay, for some very simple scenario, two devices they may close enough with each other, so you can choose a very high speed wireless link, which is okay because they are close with each other. But for example, if two devices are you need a very stable communication quality. You might want physical links, okay, attached to these two devices. 那比如说有一些 devices 它必须非常的稳定，你没有办法接受干扰，那你就找一条实体的线把它连在一起，或许会是一个比较好的选择。So there are different scenarios for you to choose different kind of communication links. Okay. The third part is okay. In this slide, okay, when you see a light blue region, okay, it indicates a small region of network devices which are attached together. 就这个小小，你可以看出是一个小小的网路啦，子网路的概念。So collection of device, okay, including routers, and there are several different types of links which are connected together. Okay, that is what we the terminology we like to use here. Okay, the second one, which is packet switch. Okay, in the current modern networks, okay, 在现代网络里面 messages could be very small or could be very large. For simplicity, we usually, okay, we will split those big messages into different chunks so that it is chunk of data. 就是我们东西有小有大嘛，但是我们通常会把它切成一小块一小块，为了一些方便。So the basic unit to transmit a data from one device to the another device is packet. 就是中文就翻译成封包嘛。Packet is a chunk of data. So those devices are transmit or receive packet from or to different devices via those communication links. Okay, so let's take a look at the right hand side. In this slide, if there is some green words, okay, that is the I wrote these words, okay, they are not in our textbook, but I believe you need to know what those things. Okay, so the first concept I'd like to introduce is last mile. Okay, if we have several different small regions of network, okay, for example, it's a mobile network. Okay, if you have a 4G or 5G cellular phone, okay, you and the base station 就是基地台 will form a connection, right? So the users under that base station will form a small network like this. Okay, and we have home network. All the devices in your home, they were connected together to form a very small network. or an enterprise network or institution network, like we in the campus. Okay. However, those networks, they would like to exchange messages with each other. So at least they have to connect it to some other networks. And those networks, they form a bigger networks, right? So you can see that the left-hand side, we have three different networks: mobile network, home network, and enterprise network. They individually form small groups, right? But they have to they have to connect to the other network on the right-hand side. For example, ISP, and provider network. Those networks are created by other network companies. Okay, their purpose is to connect those individual small networks together, so message can be exchanged between them. 就是右半侧这些人，就是一些公司嘛，网络公司嘛，他们会负责把大家串联起来。中文就叫做网网相连，英文叫做is network of network. They have to build the infrastructure to build the network of network. Okay, those companies usually, okay, their name is Internet Service Provider. 中文就叫做网际网络服务供应商，这个中文就自己记吧。So those ISP, okay, or Internet Service Provider, 网际网络服务供应商, they have to connect those networks together. So they have to build those green lines. They have to connect your network with some other networks. 就是你必须要把你家里自己的网络就再走一小段路，然后把跟其他的网络接在一起。These green lines, these green connections, that's what we call last mile. 中文就翻译成最后一里路，因为它就是最后一步要把你家跟外面的世界串联在一起的，这叫做最后一里路。那中文就是这样翻的哈 ，the last mile. Okay, so we will talk about different last mile technologies in the next hour, I think. Okay, so that is how networks are built up. So here is the definition of internet. Okay, capital I. It is a network of networks. So there are several ISPs. They have to interconnect the different networks together. So, however, there are several different last mile technologies. 4G, 5G, cable 中文就是第四台的那个网路，因为中文就叫第四台网路了，它跟虽然跟 cable 这个字没有关系，但它就叫第四台网路。Or fiber to the home, or you can set up a fiber to your home so that your home network can connect it to the internet. Okay, or DSL 就是 DSL 就是 ADSL， 我们等一下会讲。Okay, so since there are several different messages exchanged between your device and some other device, so they are basically machine-to-machine communication， 就是机器对机器的通讯啊。However, if you want the device to send a message to another device, or the another device need to know what exactly the sender says, because in the digital world, every message should be digitalized. They are all ones and zeros. 就数位世界里面全部都是零跟一嘛。So you have to make a protocol. Protocol 中文就是协定，就是双方要协议嘛。You have to make a protocol. So sender and the receiver both knows what exactly the first bit means, the second bit means, the third bit means, and so on and so forth. So basically, they have to know what exactly the format of the message is. 所以协定里面必须要包含的是 format. And second, what is the order of these messages? 就是交换顺序嘛。你要比如说我跟你说你好，你要跟我说你好，对不对？我跟你说这几块钱，你说这10块钱，就是交换是一个程序啊，交换是一个程序。Okay, so there are messages to control sending and receiving messages. There are several different protocols. For example, I think you might hear this protocol: HTTP, okay, Skype, TCP/IP, Wi-Fi, 4G, Ethernet. All the network technology. There are one protocols. There are several protocols behind those different communication technologies, because machine need to talk to machine. Okay, we will talk about several protocols in the later classes. Okay? So the next question is, who make those protocols? So there is an internet standard. There is a group called IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. It is an organization, several professors, several academic researchers, companies, government. They were involved in this IETF organization. They built several different RFC, which is request for comment. They are documents. Okay, for example, several companies in Taiwan like TSMC 就是台积电 or MediaTek 就是联发科啊。They will join such kind of groups because they would like to know, they would like to lead those groups to create the next standard, next generation of communication standards. 就是他们会参与这些组织，想要去主导说有没有办法，比如说未来，比如说6G 的科技，他们想要做6G 的晶片嘛，对不对？他们就会参加这些组织啊，然后制定规则啊。OK，so let's document are called request for comment because they are not standards. They are just some technical papers. They want to receive a lot of different comments from different groups, different companies. So the communication protocols can be even better. And maybe after 5 or 6 years, the RFC will become internet standards. So operating systems or hardware manufacturers, they will create chips or create operating systems based on the internet standards. 就是说那些软体商或硬体商啊，之后就会根据这些 network standard 制造，这些 network standard 大概5、6年就会成熟啊。所以我们现在台湾也是积极的加入这种6G、7G 的这些的产品的规格的制定。那加上我们联发科或台积电在制造的时候，就按照这些规格来制定。好，那这件事情就是其来有，就是我们必须一直参加这个东西，要不然的话，比如说我们世界上会有一些其他的竞争对手，像中国或是韩国。他们如果把持住这个组织的话，那以后东西就是他们说了算，那以后东西就会变成说他们制造会比较快，那我们在国际市场上就会有一些落后。Okay, so that is the basic concept of internet. Okay, let's take a look at the green words. Okay, the first one is arpanet. So let's go to Google. Let's take a look at arpanet. As I mentioned before, internet has been invented more than 40 years. But at the first beginning, there are only very few organizations join the internet. Okay, so ARPANET is considered as the first version of the current internet. So you can see that we have several different pictures right here. Okay, at the right-hand side, you can see that at the very first beginning, there are only 4 small networks which are interconnected with each other. Okay, basically they are universities. I think they are UCSD or UCSD, UCLA, SR 是一个国防大学，Utah 就是犹他州的大学。There are only 4 small networks which are interconnected with each other. They are called ARPANET. The year is 1969, right there. Okay, 1969. So and at that time they have to spend a lot of money, okay, to set up the cables between different networks. For example, there are 4 cables connected with each other, right? Because Utah is a little far away from California, 所以其他三个在加州，那个在犹他州。So there only has one link between Utah and the SR. So at that time, if you want to send messages or share resources from UCLA to Utah, SRI should be it play a role as relay. Okay, they have to relay the message sent from UCLA and relay it to Utah if a message should be sent from Utah between UCLA and Utah。就是如果 UCLA 要送东西给犹他，因为中间没条线，所以 SRI 就必须要转运，就是 forward 或是 relay 啊 ，forward or relay。那是因为钱不够多，很明显嘛，因为犹他太远了，所以不太可能拉两条线，因为花的钱会太多，因为这是个初期的网络嘛。OK，so because of the budget, so there are only one communication line between it. So naturally, SRI should forward or relay those messages between Utah and the different some other different organizations. Okay, so at the first beginning it's like this. So after that, we can see that in 1970s or 72 or 77, people in different organizations they realize, okay, network is really important, and we can really share some very valuable information from different organizations. So at that time, they create, they set up several different cables between those organizations. And of course, the technology used 40 years ago is a little bit different from now, but we will teach you how networks are connected together using modern technology, not old technology. Okay, that is a very old history of internet. It's called arpanet. Okay. Then I would like to show you, Then I would like to show you what is the current sorry. 我们还可以用这个。I would like to show you what is the ISP in Taiwan. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Basically, the internet service provider in Taiwan, we have 5 very large ISP in Taiwan. 中华电信、台湾大哥大、远传、台湾之星、亚太。Okay, that's five the largest big companies which serve the internet service for the public. Okay, so we'd like to show you how are they connected together. So we're talking about we're talking about 这个桌子有点小啊，所以。So we're talking about now we're talking about the right-hand side, the purple one. How those internet service providers are connected to each other. But we talk about this one first. And then in the next hour, we'll talk about how do we, as a mobile network, home network, or enterprise network, use the last mile to connect it to the right-hand side. Okay, so we'll talk about the right-hand side right now. So that is this one. 可以。It is the network, the managed organization in Taiwan is called TWNIC， 就是在台湾那些 ISP 的管理者啊，它其中有一部分呢是由这个中文啊，就是财团法人台湾网络资讯中心 ，OK， 英文是 TWNIC 啊， 它是有管理的。It is an organization under NCC，NCC 就是通传会嘛，就是你们常在电视看到的通传会。它虽然有时候会被骂是因为其他的缘故，但它实际上原本最主要的业务是管理这些电信的事情。OK，so it has a very nice map which tell us， 不是这个，对不起，这个 which tell us how those ISPs are interconnected. So you can select this one. Okay, so it is the map of July. Okay, so we take a look at this one. Okay, the gray blocks are the tier 1 and the tier 2 communication companies, or we say telecom. 要把这个字记住啊 ，telecom 就是 telephone company 啊 ，telecom 就是那些电信公司哈。Those telecom tier 1 and tier 2, those are in gray color. Okay, the blue colors they are government organization, 就是政府的机关。Okay, the light blue ones, therefore, they are companies. They are companies helps those telecom to interconnect with each other. 它是一个交换的中心哈。At the right hand side, those yellow blocks, those are foreign countries. So this map tells us how our ISPs are interconnected with each other and how they are connected to foreign countries. Okay, I think the biggest one you know about it is what HiNet. HiNet is the largest ISP in Taiwan, right? So here is the lines, which means communication lines. Most of them are fibers. 就是他们都是基本上你看到这些线都是光纤的啊。So here we have several numbers right here. For example, 这个你应该认得，这个也是台湾之星啊 ，one of the other biggest telecom in Taiwan. 台湾之星就是台湾之星为什么？台湾 Star 啊。So HiNet, there is a very there are several different there are several fibers between HiNet, this ISP, and Taiwan Star. The total bandwidth is 30 gigabits per second， 就是台湾之星跟中华电信的中间有好几条光纤，它们合并起来的频宽是30 Gbps， 这样可以吧？大家看懂这个图吧？好 ，So the messages sent from the customer of HiNet will take this route to Taiwan Star, and if the receiver is a user under Taiwan Star. Okay, ma? So basically, you can take a look at this map. So you know HiNet is truly the #1 telecom company in Taiwan because it has several infrastructures interconnected with some other tier 1 or tier 2 ISP company. And even more, it has several lines, several communication lines. Most of them are fibers connected to different other countries. Of course, there are several different ISPs in other countries. HiNet connected has several links connected to those foreign ISPs. Okay, so let's take a look at 远传的，讲英文叫什么？远传，我们看台湾看得到。Okay. This is another largest. I think it is the second largest ISP in Taiwan. But you can see that there are only two links connect Taiwan 大哥大 to 天空数位，天空数位是一个第四台。And another one is Taiwan Fix。台湾固网是台湾大哥大的子公司哈。那 so basically the network business is not operated by Taiwan 大哥大，it is actually operated by Taiwan 固网. So let's take a look at Taiwan 固网. It's right here. Listen, it has several links. It costs Taiwan 固网 a lot of money to set up all those links between Taiwan 固网 and some other ISPs. And you can see that, for example, it has a very large capacity between Taiwan 固网 and HiNet. 这个很高，这个也是181G，对不对？很高，180G是很高的。So let's take a look at NCCU， 就是正大，正大应该是在这个下面嘛。正大是台湾北部的第2区网中心啊，第1区网中心在台大，所以正大的频宽理论上比较大。NCCU's network is under this organization, that is our education. 应该说它叫做 Taiwan Academic Net 啊，我们叫它 TANET， 啊，它是教育部管的哈。So basically, NCCU is under this block. Okay, so it has several links to HiNet and also Taiwan 固网 some other 中嘉和网这个就比较特别了。中嘉和网是第4台业者，也就是说，我们还是有跟第4台业者的网路是连在一起的，教育部的眼光来说。Okay, we will talk about these 4 blocks later. Okay, because it's more complex. So basically, basically, in a very history， 我们看一下 history 好了。Basically, in early days, okay, as we mentioned before, only very few universities in the United States they set up several links between each other, right? Like this. But at that time, because the budget, because the cost is too high, so there are only limited links between different nodes. Okay, we use the word node or network between these small networks. So, for example, SRI in this figure is, for example, in this figure, SRI should play a role as to forward or to relay those messages from different networks. So there is a business model you can think that should SRI, okay, should SRI send a bill to UCLA because it use its resources to help UCLA to relay the messages from UCLA to Utah. 中文是说，你觉得 SRI 啊，在那个情况之下，他应该要寄账单给 UCLA 吗？因为他过我的路嘛，对不对？过我的路就会花我的 resources 啊，你觉得要吗？ In the early days, okay, internet is very open, so that at that situation, everything is free. So even if the message should pass to SRI and forward to Utah, SRI will not send bill to UCLA because it's free. The reason why internet is so powerful that is because those organizations they can help each other to relay the messages to some other places. 在早期的网络呢，就是因为这样无私的概念，你就帮人家传送一下嘛，对不对？因为以后你或许也会需要帮忙。So after that, in such a kind of a complex network, okay, there are several small networks that are only one link, right? But because of everybody's effort, everybody's help, we can relay those messages to some very far away place or some very small network 啊，就是因为这种无私的东西，我们才有办法让网络渐渐的壮大。OK， so in the current case， 这个嘛，这个这样子，要收钱吗？The INET has to pay some other ISPs because they help HiNet to relay some messages to some other small ISP. The answer is right now. The answer is yes. 在现在比较商业的环境底下，因为大小公司的资源差太多了，所以有些小公司是需要付费依附在一些大公司上面。Because there are several different ISPs and they have different financial problems. Some small companies, they have no money to build such kind of very large infrastructure. For example, like this. They have only several few links. For example, there are some small companies, they don't have money to build such kind of fibers, routers, or machines to connect it to larger ISPs. So sometimes they have to pay those pay money to those larger ISPs, so that larger ISPs can help them to connect it to the entire internet. Okay. Okay, we stop right here. Okay, next hour we'll talk about several different access networks. How do we in our home? How do we connect it to the ISPs?